these other things and all these other people, am I actually fulfilling what I want to do? Am I, in fact, following my passion? Am I truly happy with my effort and what I've done? You know, have I made any difference whatsoever in what's going on here in the world? Now, if you can be a clerk in a 7-Eleven and say, yeah, this is my life's fulfillment, well, bully for you. Great. But I know that in actuality that's far and few in between. People really need to start evaluating and get extremely creative and figure out what is it that they can do to fulfill themselves, to fulfill their dreams, to at least know what those dreams are and start going after it. You know, folks, it isn't about the extraterrestrials, though that's important because it'll give us a different perspective of who we are. Ultimately, when you come right down to it, the question that has to be asked is, who am I? What is it that I want? What is it that I'm creating? What is it that I want to create? You know, how much am I actually valued by myself, my family? Am I loved? Am I respected? Am I following my heart's desire? Am I spiritually evolving? Or am I just on this automatic treadmill that the media and the Earth's religions have put us on? You know, you feel good on Sunday, but by Wednesday it's just like, it's all worn off. And that's because it's not genuine. It's not genuine depth. It's not genuine happiness. Okay, it's instant salvation. And that doesn't work, you know. And it's not that anybody actually needs salvation. They just need to love themselves. And in finding that, and in truly embracing that love, that passion for themselves, and honoring themselves, you'd be amazed at how much crap that's in your life will just fall away. Because, you know, what isn't real will just fall away when you're actually on your path. You know, and I can't tell people what their path is. I'm still working on my path. But it's all about self-responsibility. And that isn't going to change. That's where the real growth, that's where the real evolution comes from. In America, we had that opportunity, and we did it for some time. But for the last 50 years, God, it's just gone downhill. I mean, we've had this incredible opportunity to change the world, you know, and now the world's very upset with us. And
let's take a look at that for a second. Okay, Alex, you've mentioned that Eisenhower lost control of the U.S. government and that it really has never been regained by the U.S. people. And I think we all want to know, how did that happen?
Well, that's not exactly what I said. He didn't lose control of the government, but he lost control of the technology. Apparently, you know, and this information's out there. Brigadier General Lufkin said in the Disclosure Project testimony, that's disclosureproject.org, which I recommend to everybody. You know, he mentioned that the technology was being reverse engineered, but it went black. And it went black very, very quickly. And it was really literally a matter of weeks that he lost control of where the technology was because it went black. And a lot of that had to do with deniability for not only the executive branch, but the government as a whole. Now, who's actually managing this? And this is where I think a lot of people are confused. A lot of people think that the government has this technology. The government doesn't have this technology. We paid for it, but programs have this technology. A lot of this technology was reverse engineered by programs created by contractors, government contractors who have this technology, and then a program was built above all of this, probably with the help of the NSA, because to this day nobody's ever read their charter, so we don't know exactly what they're mandated to do other than snoop on everybody, okay? That's where this technology is. It isn't that the government has it. It isn't that Obama can get his hands on it and say, okay, I'm taking it and I'm giving it to the people. It isn't like that at all. If you remember, Jimmy Carter tried to find out about extraterrestrials, and it was George Bush Sr., who was then director of the CIA, told him, sorry, Mr. President, your classification, your clearance isn't high enough. This is documented. So he couldn't find out anything. Bill Clinton did exactly the same thing. He tried to find out, but he was given limited information because he didn't have the clearance. Well, who can give the president clearance for this? Right? Who authorizes clearance to the president to know about this stuff? Well, if he doesn't know about it, then who does? Who's managing the information if the president of the United States doesn't have access to it? Clearly, there's your secret government. Those who are managing these programs. Because they have this technology that's thousands of years in advance of what we're using commercially. We have no access to it. Our elected officials have no access to it. The government has no access to it. Okay, but these programs exist nonetheless, and we are paying for this. Okay, the taxpayers. But we're not deriving any of the benefit of it. That is your secret government. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. Okay, what's coming down the pipe now is the fact that they have this technology and they're basically making choices. They're deciding what kind of society, what kind of world we're going to live in, who stays, who goes, what areas go through war, what areas stay in peace, which natural resources are going to be taken over. All of this is being managed by the program. And let's take a jump back to John F. Kennedy. This is not something I've ever said publicly, but if you recall, one of the things that John Kennedy did, one of the first acts he did, was to abolish the Special Operations Coordinating Group within the National Security Council. The reason for that, I believe, or I should say I have been told, is that Eisenhower told him that that is the issue, that is the area where he lost control. So John Kennedy disbanded it. What's interesting is after he was assassinated, Johnson reinstalled that group. Now, who is this group? Who is the special group? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows who they are. Administrations come and go, but rumor has it they stay. They stay and they manage all the data, all the information, everything. For example, also during Kennedy's administration, he signed an executive order in June, 11110, I believe it was, executive order, authorizing the United States Treasury to print interest-free money. Started with 5s and 10s. That executive order, in fact, is still on the Federal Register and it has never been repealed, but we don't do anything about it. The government doesn't do anything about it. The Treasury isn't doing anything about it. Who is doing it? The Federal Reserve. And the reason you won't ever find the Federal Reserve being audited, or they won't allow you to audit it, is because they have created trillions of dollars to fund the secret space program that McKenna, this kid over in England, found out about. That's the deal. That's the reality of the situation. You know, and you can go pound your head on a wall, you can do whatever, but that's it. That is where our secret government is. It is there, it is real, and it's managing everything at this point. And they really don't give a damn what the people think. They really don't. They have their own agenda. And they're doing their own thing. We don't need the space shuttle. We haven't needed it forever. There are many people out there talking about special spacecraft, Tango Romeo 3 Bravos, Tango Romeo 3 Alphas, etc., etc. These are all very real spacecraft. They, in fact, do exist. And they do have some solar system travel. We are so far along, it's amazing. And in one sense, we can be proud of that, but in the other sense, where is the technology? Why is it that we are still being strangled by oil companies? It's ridiculous. Because they fear an economic collapse? Well, we've printed the dollar into oblivion. The economic collapse is coming anyway. So why don't we just release the free energy and the technology that they have, you know, to power homes, to power cities. Let's just do it, because they're destroying the economy of the government, of the country anyway, by printing the dollar into oblivion. And that is going to happen. You know, you can't fix debt by creating more debt. Who ever heard of that? And then if you look at the history of economics, there is not a single fiat currency that has lasted more than 64 years. Ours is the only exception, but here we are. You know, here we are. We are about to hit the wall.